Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to start with our view model. So let's go ahead and create another folder, and we're going to call this view model or view models, and it should reside at the same level as models. Okay, so we're going to start by creating a new empty file, and we will name this onboarding view model. Okay, now onboarding view model is basically a view model designed to follow MVVM design pattern. Okay, and we're gonna start with import for foundation and import of the SwiftUI. And if we need other frameworks, we'll import as needed. Okay, now there's one more actually I know for sure. It's gonna be observation. Okay, we're gonna make our view model observable so it can publish properties. So yeah, we're gonna make it, we're gonna import observation framework. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna mark this this class with @main_actor. This is to guarantee that all the operations that are executed, they execute on the main thread. And this is important because when you're updating UI related properties, this view model is basically going to make sure that they are updating the UI at the right thread. So if there is a process going on the background thread and that process completes, you don't want to update your UI from the background thread. You always want to be present on the main thread before you update the UI. So the @main_actor, make sure that everything runs on the main thread. Now, this view model also attributes the observable. And observable is basically a way to publish its state and notify SwiftUI view when a change occurs. This view model holds the onboarding data. It holds the current page index and methods to navigate forward and backward and to track the progress. So we're going to have all those properties created as well. But let's go ahead and first create our final class. We want to make this class final so we can let the compiler know that this is the only implementation that is going to be there. There is no inheritance or subclass that is going to be created out of this. So compiler can rest assured that the only version that's available for this class is this one, and that makes your code much more compact and efficient at the compiler level when it's being compiled by the Swift compiler. Okay, all right, so we're gonna name this onboarding view model. We don't want to use the observation observable object. Yeah, we don't want to use that because we are using observation framework. Okay, all right, so now our basic function, like our class, is ready. Now we're going to start setting some attributes. So first we're going to start with the current onboarding step. Now this property denotes the index of currently visible onboarding page, and because we are using @observable, it is gonna let the SwiftUI view component observe this property and refresh the UI whenever the index changes. So all we gotta do is create a variable without any @published or anything like that, just simple variable with current index. We're gonna mark this as integer, and we're gonna make sure that integer is marked as optional. Okay, and this is required for your scroll view to work through different positions, and initialize this with initial value of 0. That's about it. That's your current index. Now next, we want to know device's screen size. So basically, device screen size is the next property we're going to create, and this property holds the dimension of device's screen. It is useful for pagination and for configuring view size to match device's dimension. Now, the view sets this when it first appears, and it will update it whenever the screen is resized. So we're gonna have our property, once again, a simple variable var screen size. Okay, and we're gonna mark it as CG size, and we're gonna basically initialize it with 0. Okay, .0 is a type defined inside the CG size, which creates a 0, object for the width and height for the CG size. So everything is 0, the position and the width and height. So that way we can actually update this value whenever we have the information available about the screen. Okay, from this we're gonna move on to the next one, which is the onboarding step. Okay, now the onboarding step, and let's also create a onboarding complete. So let's create those two, and we're going to talk about them. So we're going to have steps. This is going to be onboarding step. Okay, and this is basically our data model. Okay, so it's basically a collection of steps. And then we're gonna have a private let onboarding complete function, which is gonna return void. Okay, now let's talk about the first one. So this steps basically is an array of onboarding steps, and it contains all the content your onboarding flow is gonna need. It's gonna be basically a collection of onboarding steps, and each step will contain images, titles, description, and colors. Now, next is your onboarding complete. This is a closure which is gonna get called whenever the onboarding is finished. And the view can use this closure to dismiss the onboarding and move forward with the application. And this is your opportunity to use your state, that you want to maintain. For example, you want to store when user has seen the onboarding, you want to store that value inside your user default. This is where you're going to define that mark user default. Has user seen the onboarding steps or not? True. And you move on from there, and any other steps or any other logic that you want to execute when the user finishes the onboarding. Okay, now next up is your initialization. Okay, so this view model needs to be initialized, and we're gonna create the initializer, which will set up the view model with a collection of onboarding steps. So it'll take that as a parameter, and a callback closure when the onboarding finishes, which can call this onboarding completion closure. Okay, so we're gonna simply create an init, which will expect a an array of steps to be passed in, onboarding step type, and on complete we want to call something. Okay, and we can initialize it an empty with an empty function call. Okay, so that way it's not required for user to pass this in. And what we're going to do is both things that have been supplied to us, we'll use them to initialize these guys. Okay, these are the only two properties that are not initialized, and we are initializing them inside the initializer. Until you do that, you're going to see this error return from initializer without initializing all the properties. That means your initializer is closing before every single property in this class has been initialized. So we can actually satisfy that condition by saying onboarding complete is equal to onComplete. Whatever is defined in onComplete, it can be passed or assigned to onboarding complete. Now, as long as the signature for the closure are same, you can assign them to each other. Now imagine if you had an int here and you did not have that here. So that means that your function signatures have now different expectations, so you won't be able to assign them. But in this case, these two are same, so that's why we are able to assign it, and we don't see any error messages. Okay. All right, so there are a few more things to go, so let's go ahead and continue in the next video to build out this hobby model. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.